What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Triple Play Fantasy Network. I am your host at DuBois_22, and I am here today to bring you some 2021 fantasy football draft prep. So, drafts have been going on for our degenerates out there. They've been drafting for a while, a couple months. But now that the rookie draft is kind of come and gone, the NFL draft, we've been seeing a lot of movement. We kind of know where pieces are, where we can expect values. You're going to see a lot more drafts coming up, especially in the summer. And that's what we're really looking at. So today, on the show, what we're going to be talking about is late round running back targets. And, we're going to go through a series of this as every position, but today it's going to be running backs. And we're going to look at it from a bunch of different aspects. We're going to be looking at what their ADP is in Superflex leagues, what their ADP is in one quarterback leagues, where they finished last year. We're going to look at dynasty and redraft value. I'm just going to be talking about everything in general of guys that really can win you leagues. Like we talk about big guys and we're talking about Chubb, Barkley, all those guys. That's easy fantasy analysis. Hey, this is who you should draft in this. His ADP is a value. Yes, I think Chubb is a value. But who are the guys that maybe you can grab at the end of your drafts, middle of your drafts, that really can increase value and just lead you to have a very solid depth, which will help you win leagues, especially next year when we're looking at adding another game, injuries, all those other issues. So that's what we're focusing on today. And we're going to jump right into it. We're going to be talking about these guys. So let's go. So the first guy we're going to be talking about is Myles Gaskin. He was able to just miss every single kind of problem that we saw in terms of like, hey, they're going to draft a guy? Were they going to draft Javonte Williams? Doesn't matter now because he's not there, right? So Myles Gaskin right now, his Superflex ADP is 77. He's running back 25. His one quarterback ADP is running back 25. Last year, we saw a 2020 finish of running back 29. He had 146.5 fantasy points. He had 142 rushes for 584 yards and 3 touchdowns. He had 41 receptions, 47 targets, 388 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So when we're looking at Myles Gaskin, let's look at just the depth chart. So you have Myles Gaskin, projected starter. You have Malcolm Brown here, who is a sneaky play. Like, I will be honest, I'm sure Malcolm Brown's going to be a pain in the butt in a lot of different areas because they're going to probably give him some goal line carries. So we're going to probably see a regression there from Myles Gaskin. After that, some people love Salvin Ahmad, Patrick Large. Some people love Jared Dokes, the seventh guy out of Cincinnati, and I like Dokes, but I think we're really propping him up a little bit too much. If anybody in that backfield I'm worried about is Brown. But as far as Gaskin goes, when we're talking about what Gaskin did last year, last year he was very consistent when he played. So in the 10 games he played, he finished as a top 12 running back 3 times. A top 24 running back 8 times. He never finished worse than running back 36. So he finished around a running back 22, running back 3 for a guy that you picked up off the waiver wire in your second week. As a zero running back guy, he was the guy that I targeted, him and James Robinson. Now, he evaded the 16th most tackles last year. He only had 29 most carries in terms of running backs. He had multiple receptions in 10 games. So I think that's where, if you're in a half PPR, full PPR, Gaskin's value truly lies, is that he can catch the damn ball. He has multiple receptions. He had 9.5 yards per reception. So you saw that's first among the running backs there. He had basically 2 yards per route run. Okay, that finished third in the league. And he saw about 42 red zone touches. Now, as we touched on before, we are going to see Gaskin kind of come back there a little bit, but he averaged 16.4 PPR points per game. Okay, so when you're looking at that, he would have finished running back 5 if he played all 16 games. Now, that's a big if, right? He didn't play all 16 games. He's a little banged up. But he would have finished as running back 5. He put it right in Aaron Jones and David Montgomery. And we look at where he's going ADP-wise, he's going as running back 25. So essentially, if Myles Gaskin can stay healthy, you could realistically, if we look at the numbers from last year and project that, low running back 1, high running back 2, getting drafted basically as a running back 3. That's value. I don't care what anybody says. That's value. Okay. He had a really top-notch performance week 16, 169 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns. But I think when we look at what the NFL has done is they're not valuing running backs as much anymore. They will eat into the carries a little bit, and I see that. But Myles Gaskin is a very solid production piece. If he's your second or third running back, I don't see that as being a deficit to your guys' fantasy team. And where he's going at is a very good value right now, especially in Superflex leagues when we're talking about where he's looking at, he's looking back 7th, 8th round if you can get him in there. Maybe here's your running back 3. Imagine you could draft a running back 3 in that area. Now, as far as redraft goes, I love Gaskin. I think Gaskin's a very good value redraft. I'm hitting that draft all day. Dynasty, I think his value fluctuates. If he has a very good year, we could see his value go up and you can trade him. But I think where he's at, no matter what league you're in, Gaskin is a value. and you definitely value from last year. If you still have him, this might be a time to trade him in Dynasty. But in redrafting these other areas, I'm drafting Gaskin based on the numbers I just put out. He could have been a running back 5 had he stayed healthy the whole year. In that offense, nothing really changed. They got better weapons on the outside, which is just going to open things up for him. He's still going to get receptions, and he's still going to get targets. So for me, he is a smash draft right now. Hey, that's that guy. Now, our next guy, as we go down this ADP rabbit hole, is Damien Harris. So Damien Harris, again, I have always had a rule of never drafting Patriots running backs. And I know they drafted Ramondre Stevenson there. They have Sony Michel. They have James Wright. We'll get into the what we see there. But gosh, Harris, he was one of the lone bright spots last year for the Patriots. In his Superflex ADP right now, he's going as running back 32. In a single quarterback ADP, he's going as running back 35. Last year, he finished running back 53, 91 points. Obviously, we know he didn't play the whole year. 137 attempts, 691 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Targets weren't really there, and I think that's just one of his downsides, although I think he does have that ability. When we're looking at the depth chart, Damien Harris, remaining depth chart, Sony Michel, we mentioned these guys, Ramondre Stevenson, J.J. Taylor's down there, Brandon Bolden. So when you're looking at the depth chart here and with what we see, we're going to see a lot of these things. Burkhead he's injured, so I don't know if he's coming back to Patriots or not when you look at it with perspective. So this is what he has. So it's a clog. So when we talk about Damien Harris, it's a clog. It's a risk, right? But if you're looking at it from this perspective, he's going in that running back 32 to 36 range. That's value, okay? Last year, he finished his PFFs, whatever you think of PFFs, his 3rd highest graded running back. He only averaged 9.5 fantasy points per game, but part of that was the rushing upside from Cam Newton, which Cam is there. So I think that Cam does hurt him, but I don't know how long Cam is going to be starting for them. If Mac Jones is there, boom, Harris's value goes in the way. Harris is a value play. Okay, so when we talk about that, it would seem that he would have the goal line work. Okay, if Newton does kind of either move on or he's going to fill that role. He actually is not a terrible pass catcher. When you look at kind of his pass catcher and what he did at Alabama, he had 52 receptions, 400 yards, right? So he did show that he has that ability. Will they use him like that? I don't know. Belichick and McDonald's can be kind of a pain, but they will get him involved. So when we talk about kind of a guy who could be he's going running back 4 or 5 area. If he can score touchdowns and fall in that category, he is a solid flex option in some games, right? So Damien Harris, for me, I feel like can be a steal at his current ADP. He is someone that it is frustrating. A lot of these guys are going to be in frustrating offenses where we're talking about, just because that's just the role of these late round running back targets. Like, where are you going to get them, right? Now, our next guy is, again, someone who I don't own very many shares of, and I know there's some people out there that absolutely can't stand him, but that's Zack Moss. Plays for the Buffalo Bills. Right now, he's going as a Superflex ADP is 122. He's going as running back 35. In 1 quarterback leagues, he's going at running back 38. Last year, we saw him finish as running back 48 with 98.5 fantasy points. He had 112 attempts, 481 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He only had 18 targets, 95 yards in there. Now, as far as this is one of those guys who's the projected starter there? Devin Singletary, I guess. And as much as I was high on Devin Singletary, he just did not look good last year. After that, you have Moss, Breida, Jones, and Tony Williams. So really, it's Moss and Singletary. Now, to be fair, I easily could have just put up the Buffalo Bills, really the running back one, which is Josh Allen. Josh Allen's going to eat into these guys' targets or carries, excuse me. He doesn't give them a lot of targets because they look to push the ball downfield. Singletary and Moss have been open on the wing, on wing passes and screen passes and all that. If you watch, he's frustrated as a Singletary owner. He's open a lot, but they just don't look to target their running backs. And then, Allen's going to run a lot. But when you look at kind of what Moss could do, if they do some type of split backfield, which they probably will, he actually offers better running back 1 upside over Singletary. Okay. And he has a dual threat. I think he can catch it a little bit better. He's going to score more, I believe. I think he's going to get a heavier workload. And I think that they're going to kind of lean on him. I could see Moss taking over that backfield, whatever that means. Okay. I know that there's still limited upside with Allen there, but he's worth a shot at his ADP. Running back 35, 38 in that range. What if he does take over? He becomes that goal line guy that can score touchdowns. I don't know about you, but touchdowns matter to me. Okay, that's kind of what I'm looking at here. If Moss can take over that role, score touchdowns here, maybe they give it away from Allen. They don't want to run Allen as much as in the red zone. Moss could be that guy. Again, dart throws here, but that's a guy that I'm really interested in targeting. The next guy is a guy that's just going to frustrate J.K. Dobbins owners to their death, but that's Gus Edwards. So Gus Edwards had a Superflex ADP of 158.50. He's running back 46, guys. I'm going to be honest with you, that's damn disrespectful, okay? He's running back 47 in a single quarterback ADP, 2020 finish, okay, he finished as running back 38 last year with 120 points. He had 144 attempts, 723 yards, and 10 touchdowns. He had 13 targets, 129 yards. Right now, when we're looking at the projected depth chart, J.K. Dobbins obviously is going to be running back 1. Then you have Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, those guys. I know there's some Justice Hill truthers out there. Shout out to Linda Lyons. But Gus Edwards is really 1A, 1B. And as much as I love J.K. Dobbins, it's just the truth. Gus Edwards is probably the most valuable backup running back you can draft. In my opinion, maybe him and Hunt. Okay, maybe Latavius Murray, maybe. But he is there. So when we look at this, Gus Edwards never played more than 50% of snaps last year, but he received the most carries inside the 10-yard line. He had 17 carries inside the 10-yard line. J.K. Dobbins had 13. So that shows me who they value in the red zone. Again, touchdowns, right? We keep talking about that. I keep doing that. It's like about touchdowns, okay? From weeks 8 now, we really saw what happened after they got rid of Mark Ingram. From weeks 8 to 17, Edwards turned 24 red zone carries into 5 touchdowns. Okay, so for perspective, all my Miles Sanders truthers out there, he received 24 red zone carries the entire season. So in the weeks 8 to 17, Edwards turned 24 red zones into 5 touchdowns. Miles Sanders only saw 24 the whole season. Okay. Edwards also joined Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb as probably the best pure runners in terms of what they're considered as, with 2.6 yards after contact. So he is in an elite category. Him and Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb are some of the best pure runners after contact. And he led all running backs in 2020 with 31.3% of his runs resulting in either a first down or a touchdown. So if you're in those weird kind of scoring leagues where it's, you get a point per first down, those type of things, Gus Edwards is probably one of the best running backs to own in those areas, okay? Now, if he does a 60-40 split, which I think it could be in a very run-heavy offense, I still think you're comfortable as a running back 3, okay? The Gus Bus, right? He's here. I think he's the most valuable handcuff. Now, I'm not a handcuff guy. I've never really had, man. I say, hey, just draft guys. If you own J.K. Dobbins, I'm going to be honest with you, you better maybe try it in redraft, do your best to get Gus Edwards, okay? I know Lamar is there, which will limit kind of the rushing ability, but they have said they're going to throw it more. They're going to kind of rely on that. I know they say there, but I'm all on board in the Gus train this year, especially for redraft. He's my guy. I think that when you look at what he brings to the team, he's going to score touchdowns. He's a flex option in a heavy run offense. I don't know what else to say to you as about Edwards. He's the guy that I'm going to be trying to grab. Now, my last guy is a deep, deep throw here. Okay, it's a dart throw. It's someone that I really do actually believe in. I liked him coming out of college. That's Darrell Evans, okay, from Tennessee. Now, we know who he's playing behind. We'll get into that. But his Superflex ADP right now is 222.75. He's going up as running back 65. So when I'm telling you guys deep, this is deep. If you're in really shallow redraft leagues, I know he'll be on your waiver wire. But this is a guy to pick up, and if you have a taxi squad or something, to stash on, okay? In one quarterback league, he's going as running back 70. He didn't finish well last year. He had 16 points. That's it. He also, one sneaky thing about Evans that you guys may not know is the reason why he didn't finish very high and didn't play as many games is because he had COVID. COVID hit him really hard, and the Tennessee Titans, as we found out. And you know what? That's just something to understand, that some of these guys have been affected by COVID in different ways, okay, as we can tell with some of these athletes. And he had that, so he couldn't get on the field very much. Now, as far as projected starter, we know Derrick Henry's a monster. Okay, Jeremy McNichols is there who carved out a good role. Brian Hill is nothing to sneeze at either. So when we're looking at what these guys have done, I'm basically going off of talent, okay, of what I expect Evans could be. When you looked at he's 22 years old, he has day 2 draft capital. Draft capital matters. Okay, especially for running backs. Okay, so day 2 draft capital. He's a 91st percentile in the 40 time, okay, based on his measurables, thanks to RotoViz. 87% in broad jump, thanks to RotoViz. In college, he had 2,600 rushing yards and 25 touchdowns in his last 2 seasons. He also had 33 receptions, 285 yards, and 6 receiving touchdowns. He does play that role. I expect him to jump into that McNichols role that they used last year. I think they wanted Evans for that role. He's a younger, better back. Now that he's healthy, been in the offense, I think they use him there. So I think he does have valuable in half PPR or full PPR. And if Henry ever did go down, I think Evans is that guy. Okay, I'm not going to wish that upon anybody, but I think he's a sneaky guy around that category. Like, who could you grab way late or think on the waiver wire? I think that's Darrell Evans. I think those are the guys that you have to look at. So those are my 5. So when we're looking at late running back targets in fantasy football right now, I think those are it. So let me just recap real quick. So we got Myles Gaskin. There's his ADP. He's going as running back 25. Damien Harris going as running back 32. Zack Moss going as running back 35, 38 in that category. The Gus Bus, Gus Edwards. He's going as running back 46 to 47, which again is disrespectful. Okay, he's one of the most valuable handcuffs you can grab right now. And then the last one is Darrell Evans from the Tennessee Titans. So when you're looking at these running back targets, you're just looking for, like, hey, it matters, PPR, half PPR, what you're looking for. But all these guys have some upside. Gaskin, Harris, Moss, Edwards, they all have touchdown upside. They're going to score. They're going to get targets in some way or the other. Okay, these guys all have that. Evans is my long shot here, just to kind of throw it out to you guys, keep you guys on that mindset. So right now, as of right now, when I'm looking at drafts, these are some of my best value targets in their late round. So if you have any comments, any concerns, anything like that, let me know. Let me see what any other guys out there that you guys are seeing that are pretty good values, because all drafts are a little bit different. So we appreciate that. If you like our content, like what we're throwing out 3 different sports in the channel. Hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. And until next time, the next one will be a late round wide receiver targets that we're targeting in drafts. Until next time, I hope your drafts are going well and you're going to win some money next year.